Right.
You can't use it for automated weapons. Not protected, Bluetooth connectable to the point where you could connect to it with your phone and start driving the person around and they can't do anything.
They have unveiled a robotic monk to support. Hi, everyone. My name is Neal Parker. To my right is David Bliss, and to my left is Gene Hobbs. And this is the Cheerful Adventure Company's podcast. It's not over yet. So, today we are examining February 2026 and all that has gone right and all that has gone horribly wrong in the second month of our year. I don't know who's going to go first. I think I will start, unfortunately, and then we'll just sort of randomly go about and see just exactly how awfully wrong things have gone. I will start out with weird news, but of a different type. David, what ship were you on?
The USS Enterprise.
Would you care to guess what Mr. Shatner has been up to?
Well, the last thing I knew he did with the Enterprise was go to its decommissioning ceremony.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, I had heard that his agent was like, they're doing a decommissioning of the USS Enterprise. You don't want to go to that? And he's like, no, I'll go to that.
Yeah.
Because, Navy doesn't pay a lot, but he was like, no, I got to go to that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know his model was in the Air and Space for that one. A lot of people don't realize, like, the whole Starship Enterprise came from NASA research. Like, that's why it was in Air and Space. Yeah, that's why it was in Air and Space. But they were redoing it, and he's like, take good care of my ship when he saw the article. Like, he sent a comment, and they were like, you're welcome to visit at any time, Captain.
That's awesome.
So he's big on the Star Trek.
So this was a slightly different thing than I expected it to be what he had been up to. But apparently, Mr. Shatner has unveiled at age 94 a metal album.
I knew he was writing a book. I did not know
I did not know he was writing a metal album either.
I was not aware.
No, apparently he's boldly going where none of us should go, frankly. But yeah, I thought that would be Wienermobiles is a weird start for January. Mr. Shatner boldly going into the metal space. As I've explored time, I've explored space, and now I explored distortion. He'll be better at audio than we are. We need to fire the current editor for this. That's me. Yeah, we need to fire me. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious and quite appalling. Which one of you has something equally absurd and or awful?
Absurd or awful? Man, you just gotta if we're going for absurd and awful, you could cover Randy Fine from Florida.
Uh-oh.
On video, illegally clicking the voting for other members of the state assembly, like on video.
Oh, I saw that, man.
Like, how are you not arrested?
How can you be that big of a tool?
Censured, tarred and feathered, run out of town on a rail?
Isn't there one of these parties that gets really upset about voter fraud?
Oddly enough,
I think it's his.
I'm going to be honest. Yeah. But they're also the ones caught the most, which really makes it,
unfortunately, very funny.
I think that's why they're concerned about it. Maybe because they keep getting caught. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, no,
they don't. They're mad the Democrats are better because they're not getting caught.
And that might be it. Yeah, I don't know.
I absolutely love that he got caught too, because that is really a no-no in voting, is doing it for somebody else.
Well, there's cameras everywhere these days, right? So
especially on the floor, C-SPAN's everywhere.
Right. Come on, man. If you're going to do something bad, at least go where you don't know there's a camera around.
Have you all seen that people have started knocking over those flock cameras?
Yes, I saw that. It's like a nationwide campaign.
I know. I'm going to start looking for a flock camera near me.
So I know in DC for a while, because they were putting them, like, cameras and stuff in cars.
Yeah.
Like, just patrol cars on the side of the road, but they had stuff in them.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently somebody was very familiar. This is years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was very familiar with how the cars were set up, and they were able to get to the cars without appearing on any of the cameras in the cars. And the only time they found out that they had been to the cars is when they found out they couldn't get in the cars, because they were taking toothpicks and dipping them in super glue and filling the door locks so that the metal piece slid back into place.
Excellent.
And they would do it to all the doors, and the car's just sitting there taking.
The only thing you could have done to make that any worse is use something like JB Weld in the door crack.
That would have been, that would have been.
That was years ago I heard about that one, but I'm like, well, that's patience
Don't
for
do
one.
that, Internet. Don't do that at all.
Well, I'm not saying that. I've heard of people doing that as a high school prank, putting toothpicks in the locks for every single door around the entire external part of the building so that it couldn't open until much later in the day. I've heard.
It wouldn't work nowadays.
No.
Why would it not work nowadays?
Badges.
Oh, well, yeah, we've got magnetic
Badges.
locks. Yeah.
Don't need no sticky.
It wouldn't work here. It would work at quite a lot of other places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would work quite a lot of other places.
So
I love it.
On the camera angle, did you guys hear what Ring Doorbells has decided to do?
They're sharing with Block.
Clearly, Neal knows what's supposed to do. So, yeah, the search party feature that is automatically turned on, that if you have a Ring camera, you may want to turn off.
I've already been Googling other options.
Yeah.
Your best option is, frankly, and I'm very serious about this, if you care at all about security, is having a hub in your home and you're recording to like a DVR.
That's what I think I'm going to have to go to.
Yes, I think, and they're not terribly expensive. I will give you some links when we're not recording.
Because I'm like, if my video feed doesn't have to go through me to be released, I have a problem with that.
Well, here's
a
the
big
thing.
one.
The reason I want the feed to be with me is, you know how if you make a Freedom of Information Act request to the government, they charge you to do it. You can get information, but you have to give them money. Do you know what I bill hourly for law enforcement requests? A lot. A lot, boys and girls. A lot. I wouldn't say you can exactly write your own ticket with it, but they're not getting that for free.
Yeah, I was completely blown away that somebody actually thought that was a good idea. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the concept.
I like the idea of like, there's a problem in your area. Please push this button to share your Ring for the next 4 hours while we look for the dementia patient that's wandered off. That would be great. I'd be in.
Right.
Let's make you share.
I want control of this.
Yeah, let's make you share.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a problem.
Yeah, and not a small one.
No, because then who gets to decide what the threshold is? I have a bad feeling that's one of those slopes that is not really a slippery down slope. It's like a cliff where suddenly the threshold for turning on that little spy on your front yard system is... The bar is shockingly lower now than before. I did not expect us to have a flock camera theme this recording session, but excellent.
We can, really think about cybersecurity as a whole in this, right? So the next article that I had was, did you know that you can actually track cars by their tire inflators? I was not aware of that. That was something that just came out earlier this week.
Because they're radio sensors.
Yeah. And apparently they are hackable. I would not have thought of trying to hack the tire sensors. But apparently you can, and you can get real-time data on location.
But they got to be close to something you can pick up, though.
Right.
Yeah, but I gotta say, it's not very difficult.
Because I think they'd be Bluetooth. Like, this gives you like 30 feet of range, but I mean, it's only got to transmit like 2 feet. But
I have a bad feeling that that's not the hacking in that they're doing. I'm fairly confident that what you might be doing is like using that as a vector into the secure part of the car, where you could affect like the unlocking mechanism for the vehicle. I have a bad feeling that might be a tunnel from one place to another.
Yeah. So that wasn't what was discussed. What was discussed was location data in this particular paper. But that was one of the things that I was thinking about was, well, that's an entry point. It's kind of like, the last time, what was it, the Bellagio that got hacked and they went in through an aquarium.
Is that George Clooney?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think there was a movie similar to that.
Dude, documentary.
Yeah. It was almost. Yeah, they hacked it through an aquarium. That's what I was thinking was, okay, this is the weak spot, and they just using that to get to everything else. But that was a fascinating story that literally this week.
You have to elaborate now. You have me very curious. What was the aquarium story now?
Well, somebody hacked it. This was several years ago. This was a case study, actually, that we did during my cybersecurity course, one of the cybersecurity courses.
UPenn?
What's that?
You talking about the University of Pennsylvania one?
No,
this is Bellagio.
Okay.
Gambling
and casino.
Gambling.
They actually went in through an aquarium. They found out that the aquariums were on the Wi-Fi, and they used that as their entry point to be able to get into what was supposed to be the secured network for the hotel, and did a rather sizable theft of information.
So
I have to say, remember the Louvre story that we had?
Right.
What was the password again there, Gene?
Louvre.
Louvre.
Yeah.
So, when I was first having my cybersecurity meet here on campus, so I was first having that meeting, I mentioned hacking problems, entry points, and started talking through it, and they were like, look, anybody can come up with some preposterous, wild scheme where their stuff is relevant and all that, and so I had a list on my second monitor of the latest 25 university hacks in the United States, who did them and how they got in. So I just shared my screen, and it was like, here's one where they got in through the aquarium thermostat tied to the BAS wirelessly. Here's one where they got in through
Why would the aquarium be tied to the building access?
Building automation system. Not building access, building automation,
okay.
so that it could regulate
Okay.
temperature. Another one got, I think that was Penn State. I'd have to Google it again, but I think Ohio was through a wireless parking meter.
Excellent.
Like they would get in and then try and move around and move laterally. And so I was like, I don't have to make it up. Here's a list. Who did it, what they were after. I'm just trying to not be the next guy in the news, man. Help me out.
That was always one of my concerns with the simulators that we use for training. When we carry them into the hospital, is I've done everything I can to make sure that ours are air gapped. I just didn't want them on any network because I don't know who may be trying to get into that device while we're there. And it amazes me how many places I go to teach courses where the passwords are still a factory default.
Yeah.
And so,
when I teach a security lecture, the first thing I tell them is, please go change the default.
The cuckoo's egg.
Yeah.
So
because a lot of them is just admin.
Right.
I get size of warnings, and I think that might be bad because one of the ones I saw was there are certain models of powered wheelchairs that are apparently not protected, Bluetooth connectable to the point where you could connect to it with your phone and start driving the person around and they can't do anything. And I read that one and I'm like, I don't want to know that.
There are some things we are not meant to know in that specific thing right there.
Well, medical devices as a whole are a risk. Like there was several years ago, pacemakers were something that you could hack, and a lot of work has been done and continues to be done on trying to shut down those hacks. But yeah, I'm always amazed at different ways that people are able to gain access to systems. I never would have thought of the building infrastructure at all, like what you see every day as a potential entry point. But it's a strong.
So it's one of the things that I've talked about because my problem is like I have to access my servers, my equipment, right? So that puts them in a certain network, certain protections. But then when I realize IT has to support them on the back end, and they don't want to have to go from group to group, so they add them all to a group like group, and it's like, so if you get in and you can get into that group, now you can go everywhere because they're just trying to make it so they don't have to keep entering credentials.
Yeah, that's not a good thing at all.
And it's not like I can tell the IT guy. I mean, I can. It's not like he's going to listen.
In terms of other IT-related interesting things, not necessarily security, down the AI space, where would you say you are not likely to run into a robot? An AI discussing where this robot is able to converse with people in an AI manner.
Bathroom.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you guys a hint. There was a group of them wandering about the United States not that long ago.
The monks?
The monks. Yeah, Buddhist monk. A Buddhist monk robot. Japan, seeing a declining population, a shrinking population. Also, as a result, seeing fewer people in certain professions. One of those professions being the clergy. So they have unveiled a robotic monk to support.
But he has no faith.
I'm not precisely sure how this is supposed to work. All I'm thinking of is like my poor little D&D cleric, who's now like an automaton.
I shall smite thee.
Well, hey, at least they went for the Buddhist.
I don't know, but I found that the notion that we could now, like, I thought it was interesting long ago that we were talking about replacing medical professionals with AI, and, you know, to some degree we are, rightly so, because properly it does good work. I'm not so sure about clergy and how I feel about it giving me moral advice. Just today, all of the major AIs, I believe the radio was talking about this, all of the major AIs, when pressed, all suggest nuclear war as a solution.
Oh, I saw that. 95% go
Yeah.
nuclear pretty quick.
Yeah, they in war games, like you cannot get the AI to not immediately start nuking.
But that backs it up to
Virginia.
Hegseth, right? That's the next good one to go to there, right?
The problem
Can you
is,
imagine being mad at a company because they won't take off 2 guardrails that I'm pretty sure we don't want?
Right.
You can't use it for automated weapons where the AI is the sole party deciding whether or not it's murdering people. And what was the other one? You can't use it for tracking people or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, mass
mass
populace. It was like mass populace watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Of all of the people that I would not want to be in charge of an automated killing system, I would put that man at the very, very, very top. Everybody else that could possibly be on that list has already been arrested.
Didn't we have a
convicted,
movie
and
about this
executed
with Captain
for war
America?
crimes.
Had a bunch of helicarriers in it.
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
It was
Like
a
spelled out
documentary.
exactly how it was going to go.
Yeah, that was
It
a
was a
documentary.
documentary. I
Prequel?
remember that.
Kind of like,
remember that.
what's that other one?
So my funny AI story was an AI agent just tried to shame a software engineer after he rejected its code.
What?
So now that we're able to have all of these AI agents that are being put out to do work, and they are literally just roaming wherever they want to on the old internet, a Matplot volunteer decided that he did not want to put a request in, and the bot published a personal attack. So, maybe we should have more AI monks, and maybe the AI monks should be taking care of the morality of the AI bots. I don't know how that would work, but apparently it would probably work about as well as it does with humans in morality.
So in terms of AI failures, I'm not sure if this was an AI-induced one or not, but there's a picture that's floating around from a summit, AI Impact Summit, with the CEOs of 2 of the larger AI firms, Sam Altman and Dario, I will not pronounce his name right, Amodel, I believe, but it's a fantastic little image of them not getting along. And there's like this chain of all of these humans holding hands together, and those 2 are just kind of like, Gene, hold your hand up. Doing that number. Instead of locking arms together, they're just both like, ew. Ugh. I don't want to be near you.
That's really funny.
It is. Well, that's the.
Oh, that's fabulous.
I know that one needs to make it into the. They're just like, yeah, because see, everybody else is, the spirit of humanity. We're all in this together, and they're just like, nah, I can't be bothered with you. That does sort of sum up the tech bro mentality, I find.
Yeah. That whole teamwork makes the dream work thing doesn't necessarily cross from company to company sometimes.
I don't. Well, also, I don't think I want those people making teams.
Microsoft Teams?
Or that either. Well, I still love that
Beta
Microsoft.
versions.
I still love that the new Microsoft guy is getting upset by people calling it AI slop, which it is.
I think the big problem right now, and bear in mind, the current class I'm taking is AI. Like, I just finished training one for a paper, right? Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. But
How did it go?
I don't know. We're still waiting on grades.
Did it prescribe nuclear war?
No.
Did it avoid nuclear war?
And
Was nuclear war an option?
no.
Did
It
blow up
should
in
have
reality?
been.
So we made one. We trained it to identify solar panels like by picture, like so you could put a camera on them. But like the idea was to say, is it a panel? Is it clean? Is it dirty? Is it covered in bird poo? Is it electrically damaged?
That's clever. Yeah.
So found a bunch of online
Was it covered in yogurt?
pictures, stuff like that. Well, that's funny because so we found a bunch of pictures. We trained the AI, and we were getting really, really good results with all the test photos. So then I went up on the roof and took a bunch of photos of the actual solar array on the roof of the building, and we ran them through. And its results dropped fast because, like, I mean, it made sense, and we got to add to our paper, which I hope makes the grade better, right? But because I like grades.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed was like dew gets on the panels in the morning, so if they have dust on them, right, it dries and it winds up with like water spots.
Yeah.
Because they're just panels.
Yeah.
Right. So we didn't train it on water spots, so it went with the closest thing you could think of: electrical damage.
Electrical damage.
It got all the ones I actually took photos of that had bird poo on them correct.
Yeah.
And the ones that had dirt on them, it got correct.
Well, that's sort of like with
But we had more of them with water spots than anything else.
No, that goes exactly to how like processes of any type or everything is. Most things are if not a living document, like a living thing where
we could go back and retrain.
Yeah, we try to make these things better. It's neat when you come across one that's that like, oh, well, how did we not think of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I would.
So like we're currently, our current project is we're supposed to look at developing agents, AI agents, for a place we work. We're two very nice kids, much younger than me, who don't have a lot of professional world experience, so we have to go off the places I've worked.
It's fine. There's a long list of those.
So we're going through that, and I'm like, we could do this, and they're like, what? So I'm having to describe things we could agent, and I'm like, here, we do maintenance. Planners have to order all the parts, but they're listed in the PMs. The planner has to hit the generate the monthly PM list. I'm like, couldn't we make an agent that just orders the parts since the vendors are in the system and puts the delivery and generates, not trying to get anybody out of a job, but it seems like a fully automated. I would also think we could take the turnover package on like a new building, let the AI scan it, and let it enter all of the new equipment and assign all of the maintenance that's required by the manufacturer on its own.
I would think that that's actually a really good and practical use for AI because it's stuff that's already fairly established and it's fairly rules-based. And, it's...
Planning a travel trip.
It's going to be very boring for a person.
Going to this conference.
Yeah,
Set it up.
it's going to be very boring for a person, but very easy for them to overlook something if the AI is taught to cover all of these bases.
You'd still need a person to like supervise and make sure.
Yeah, you better.
Oh, that vendor went out. We're going to have to adjust. But I was like, here's some real world.
But it recognizes poop.
Yeah,
That's what I'm taking away from this.
Yeah, AI recognizes.
It would have treated your yogurt as bird droppings.
I just saw one where they had, I think it was China, but they had humanoid robots and they put guns in their hands, and they had dogs with like multi cameras, like.
Oh, this can't end.
Like it looked like they were scanning, infrared, and those things didn't miss. They had them running through a town and hitting pop-ups, like dead center every round while jumping over stuff, and you could tell like they had to be on a mesh network where the things the dogs were spotting were being relayed to the things with the guns.
I will say that
impressive.
A perfect counter to that was what I saw the Boston Dynamics release today or yesterday. Was a robot that was dancing better than I could. A whole lot better than I ever could. That robot had soul. It had some moves that I will never be able to emulate or beat.
Well, it's still like the one where the Marines were tasked with finding one for the walking. I don't know if we covered that in a previous
No, we have
episode.
not. We can go down that
a group
rabbit
of Marines, and they were assigned the task. They had this thing, and it was supposed to look for people walking and be able to like.
It was an
flag
intrusion
people.
detection system, Gene. It was supposed to spot intruders.
Okay.
So one of the Marines literally went and got a cardboard box and got under it and slowly moved.
Went everywhere.
Just moved like you'd see in a game, a box moving around.
Yeah.
Because it's not a person walking bipedally. One guy like dressed up as a tree and slowly treed his way. some of them did flips.
The two guys did cartwheels simultaneously, which
because it's looking for walking.
I'm pretty sure I played that game too. Was that Super Mario Brothers?
Yes, exactly.
I'm pretty sure one of the versions of that had where they were in a box and moving around. So they're trying to stop them. I've seen that game.
For the life of me, I cannot think of the game where you've got a couple of hunters and a couple of people that hide in it's a computer game, and it's a environment where there's all sorts of rubbish sitting around, so you can transform yourself into like a water bottle, and you can move around. And you're trying to it's a hide and seek basically.
Yeah.
It's a game of hide and seek. But the Marines outfoxed in the game of hide and seek and sneak up the engineers, and the engineers went away having lost. But
it's not the first time I've heard of that happen.
Very, very hard.
Because I heard of one years ago where they had come up with a thermal imager, kind of like the precursor to the Nifty that the firefighters use. Mm-hmm. So I was still in the Navy at the time I heard this one. They had them out at night, and guys were supposed to be sneaking up, and they had, I don't know, congressmen or something there looking at this new tech. And they're like, "We see you, go." And they were sending them back to start trying to sneak up again, and they were talking about how it was going to revolutionize warfare, and everything was going to be great. The Master Sergeant standing up there with them, and he's like, "I'm going to go get a drink. I'll be right back." And he leaves. After about 20, 25 minutes, they're like, where'd Master Sergeant go? And he stands up right in front of him. He went down the street to a 7-Eleven, bought a large umbrella, and snuck up with it in front of himself. so it's seeing the umbrella, but there's no heat on the umbrella, and he's behind it. He's like, just spent $7 and beat your 50.
I like that, man.
So speaking of hiding.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm scared.
All right, this was I found this one on February 16th. Beekeeper, Oregon, on a routine check of forest beehives, finds a weird-looking...
On a routine check of forest beehives?
Yeah, where they put bees out in the forest. And
bees are naturally in the forest.
Yeah, but they keep hives.
Okay.
Yeah, we have them on campus in places,
I did not know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm pro bees, but
So, going to check his apiaries, sees a bunch of agitated bees around this tree and investigates and finds it's a fake tree, knocks it over, and there's PVC pipe going into the ground, and finds a hidden underground meth lab in the middle of the woods.
How?
Because the bees found the fake tree and were trying to set up a hive, and they were getting mad because their drug manufacturing spent.
It keeps blowing out and they can't stop.
Oh, that's amazing. That's like...
Look at the pictures.
That is...
a small facility. It was a big facility.
Yeah. That is shocking, frankly.
Right?
I mean, that is
how do you not see... how do you even get in? Because you can't see from there.
No, but my question is... I have so many questions. How in the world did they manage to make... there will be pictures of this, folks, on the internet, or on this episode when we get it on the internet. That is... Holy moly, David. Yeah.
That was a good hidden thing, right?
Please send me that.
Yeah, when you posted that the other day, I sat there and I stared at it going, how long did it take to do this?
Right?
Yeah, no, that is like in Breaking Bad, they're...
It's got power.
Yeah. Wait, how did because they're in the middle of the woods, how did you not detect like a power cable running out there?
Right?
Well,
like it gets weirder the longer you look at everything.
Two, I could be wrong. Gene, you work in areas closer to this sort of thing than I do. Gene does not make meth. He works in a hospital.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Adderall.
But
It's all drugs.
But I also believe you need water.
To make meth?
Well, maybe to put out the meth lab explosion, but yeah, at minimum, I believe you need an awful lot of resources besides just
you got a whole forest, man.
I don't know that the precursors for meth grow on trees. In fact, I think ironically they don't, and I think that's the plot of a couple of episodes of Breaking Bad.
Well, that was one of my big questions when I was looking at these pictures.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad but like 2 episodes, but yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
What is the air turnover rate in that room? It's
In
underground. How is the gas getting in and out without somebody just dying in a confined space?
There's that
Because that was a small tube that was dressed up to look like a stump.
Yeah.
It was not very big.
Now, they could be using the poor man's air conditioner.
That's true.
Back in the 17, 18... No. They would take a piece of steel pipe, you run it out 20 yards from the house, 30 yards from the house, put the the U-bend on it, so, and then it goes underground 5-10 feet, and it runs to the house, but then inside the house you have a peak vent, so it's cooling
as it pulls
cooling as it pulls in, and the hot's going out the top of just kind of pulls it through.
The problem I see worse than that. Okay, so no, I'd say Gene's problem is the worst. The lack of air, because meth is
highly toxic, and B, it blows up. One of the things you hear about frequently in rural parts of the world.
It's just ADHD meds.
No, before it becomes ADHD meds, it's explosive. And we've said
probably in the factory too, like an illegal factory.
Yeah, I guarantee it is. So I see two problems here. One, the fact that you don't have a whole lot of air and that it blows up easily. But two, underground, you have moisture problems. And this is going to be a venue for mold. This is going to have all kinds. This is why you do not grow marijuana underground. You grow it in the dirt, in the sunlight. People that tried doing that when it was illegal in the U.S. and tried to grow it underground found that they made mushroom farms instead of marijuana farms.
But they also had the same problem of their ventilation system not taking enough of it out and not desiccating the air in any remarkable way. But this clearly, they did some real vapor barrier work, which would have sealed it probably more than would have been necessary. But yeah, I was just blown away by those pictures.
Stunned. That is amazing. In terms of the things I was not expecting you guys to bring in here, that is...
They hit it with a SWAT team.
Well, of course.
Because there were people in it when they...
Really?
About it, yeah.
And they were alive.
They were working.
Yeah.
They were.
And apparently that's why it attracted the bees. They said one of the chemicals, I think it's even in the article, where is it? Phenylacetone. Can give off a sweet floral scent, and to bees, it'll come out like a giant flower, venting nectar.
Huh.
Which I think is why they
were trying to move in.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
That's a good one.
Nature always blows me away.
And speaking of blowing away, we've got
Come on, I wanted to talk about the woods again.
Oh, please, go for the woods then. Let's do it.
Let's go to the woods.
We will stay in the woods. Because my next one does not involve the woods.
I was blown away by this lady who found a Samsung phone out in the desert.
That is an old phone, Gene.
Yeah. And this phone apparently has been there since 2015. It had been in this field where someone lost it.
Okay.
And she initially was just going to come home and bring it home and give it to one of the neighboring kids who likes to take apart old electronics. But decided, you know what, I think I'm going to plug this thing in and see what I can find. She actually found the owner. Yeah, and that's how she found out that it was 2015. So this phone had sat in the desert outside for 10 years, was able to be recharged, and she managed to nail down, I guess she found the phone number for Dad, and then she called the house, and the daughter, I think it was Maddie was her name, and Maddie called her back to say, yeah, I went hiking there, and that's when I lost it. And this was miles away from where they live. More interesting to me is how many of y'all have box of cables, random cables at your home or anything else, right?
I purged mine, and immediately don't do that.
Immediately regretted it.
I made it almost 3 weeks, and then I really regretted it because I was like, I am about to drop $40 on 2 cables
that
I had in my garage
that I just had.
That was one of the things that entertained me most about me. This lady just went home and started digging around. She's not even sure what the cable went to originally, but she had a charging cable for that particular phone that happened to work so that she could charge it.
That's amazing.
It was 10 years old, and she never owned that same kind of phone. So,
I love that we are moving to the point where everything is the same.
USB-C.
Yeah, this same. I am so glad that has... thank you. I believe it was Europe finally stood up and said, this is how it's going to be. And everybody was like, yeah, why didn't we think of that?
Right.
That has been absolutely frustrating through the years.
CE and standardization. That's probably one of the greatest things that I can think of from a compliance standpoint that Europe has given us is the CE markings and the requirements that went along with making sure that things actually talk to each other and work together well.
Yeah, no, the notion that there should be a standard for plugging stuff in and getting electricities into it.
Can I stay on the phone topic?
Please.
So the other one that I found entertaining is...
I knew about this one.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. NASA is now allowing the Artemis astronauts to take their iPhones to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
so they can use their phones for documenting different things. Yeah.
Okay, what did we point out when you and I were talking about this that it kind of blows the argument away for?
Because there's cameras everywhere inside of most of the launch vehicles and vehicles in general. I always found that entertaining. Really, the thing that I find interesting, an iPhone might not seem like it weighs all that much, but when you start comparing that to the amount of fuel that it takes per pound of cargo, it seems like that would be a lot. But your point, I think, was the most interesting.
So can I stay
hang on. My point was that this is putting somebody from here onto the moon, right? Sort of takes away the argument, hey, put your phone down, plane's about to land. Yeah, I think that argument is pretty well settled.
I would think that the shielding is definitely going to be at least good enough.
I think that basically takes away the argument. Although I will say that if you are going to use your phone on an airplane, use headphones. Where are you going, David?
So I have this article. FBI raids cell towers in 8 states.
Why?
So
were they rogue cell towers?
So it turns out
they were.
The FBI seizes 340 cell towers across 8 states. Just the surface, it started as a routine audit, and then the agents realized the towers weren't just transmitting calls. They were tracking federal phones in real time, and the backdoor owner of the cellular carrier was the something cartel. What's the name of it? Let me see.
Really?
Yeah, the name of the Sinaloa cartel. Yeah, so they were using them, so they knew where all the feds were by tracking the federally paid for phones.
Okay, now that actually is quite alarming because we've been blowing up supposedly cartel boats. I don't think that they were cartel boats. I think they were people fishing.
But if federal agents had phones on those planes, they'd have known they were coming.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But yeah.
That is... I've got it. I love a good agent of chaos story when it comes at the expense of folks like that, but I might not want it to be a drug cartel doing it.
Well, between that and their use of drones, being on the rise, the cartels are really upping their game.
So it wasn't, but a decade ago, they were using catapults to chunk, stuff over, border fences.
That's to distract you.
Yeah,
now
the
submarines.
The level of tech has gone up. Yeah, they've been using submarines for a while, but really,
now they're using unmanned ones and
the drones and the cell towers. Now, I gotta say, I'm impressed. It's not a good thing to say, but I am quite impressed.
I thought that was a good one.
Okay, speaking of,
you got a phone one?
I got instead of phone. Well, hang on. I might. I actually might. If we're gonna.
Yeah, I didn't talk about that one because I saw that David had that one posted on his Facebook page. That's where I saw that. I was like, well, I can't bring that.
Lately, that's where I've been trying to save them a little bit for when we do these.
Oh, nice. So I've got. Where will you not find cell phones? We'll back into it.
I was about to say the moon, but you just told me
that's no longer. It's on this planet, but it's more isolated somehow than the moon.
Well, I can't say the bathroom. Like I did earlier as well. I always have my phone in the bathroom.
Well, there are certain federal places you can't have them.
You're not supposed to. You can.
But if I had to say where not,
no, you can use it there.
I've got friends that are using them there now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Really?
Yeah.
We'll have to talk
in
about that
a submarine.
Oh, that's a good guess. You're probably correct.
I just can't see the signal getting out.
North Korea.
Okay.
North Korea. But the reason that they're in the news, not because they're allowing cell phones in, although I did see a North Korean cell phone on the internet the other day, and the explanation of how it worked was kind of interesting. But
was that Mr. Who's the Boss? Because I saw an episode by him recently that was fairly entertaining.
I don't remember if the one I saw was not trying to be entertaining, more informative. In North Korea, apparently the groundwork is being laid for succession. A secession.
The 12-year-old.
Yeah,
I saw that.
So, in terms of equality, we're all pro-equality, extremely so. World dictatorships are grossly underrepresented by women.
So the way I heard it
North
Korea was going to have a female president before the United States.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Oh, Did you see what our tool of a president said the other day about I got a whole bunch of Olympic stories, but that guy actually went and made a rather out of sorts joke.
I can't watch in real time the train wreck.
So
currently,
internet, our president is by rule required to give a speech once a year called the State of the Union, and this was a work of fiction at best. We had to sit through the other day. It was amazing. I think that probably there's more truth. You know that one North Korean newscaster lady that would say, things like the North Korean leader came about in the back of a unicorn and has played a round of golf and only hits holes in one. That lady, that same level of truth was what was exhibited during our State of the Union speech the other day. So we had that one. Since we've mentioned Olympics, do y'all have any good Olympic stories? Because I got a bunch of them.
I got one.
Yes. Yeah, him. He was the one I was going to lead with. You take it.
Oh, okay.
Go for it, my man. I got a bunch of them.
I saw it and I dug. So apparently, and the coolest part is the dog's name.
Yes.
A dog named Nazgul.
I know.
Ran onto a course during a Winter Olympic skiing event and was chased. People kept jumping in to try and catch him and kept driving him further downhill, and he actually crossed the finish line, ran the whole course.
He kept pace with the athletes. Yeah, he legit kept pace with it is the best video I have seen, besides ABC's Wild World of Sports. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And the agony of defeat was, for a long time, this guy that was falling over skiing. He was just buying the farm and selling off all of the assets as he went. He was wrecking shop.
That dog, though, when I first saw the first picture, there was nothing around it to see scale. I was thinking, is that a wolf? Because that's a big
It
dog.
is a Czechoslovakian wolf dog.
Really?
That's the breed.
It was huge looking in that first initial picture that I saw. It looked smaller when I saw it next
and
to
he was
my
2.
bull.
So in
But
terms
yeah,
of dogs,
that was a big dog.
in terms of dog stories that we've had on this channel, we had your border collie that got yeeted out of the car and went herding sheeps for how many days?
Yeah. 3 days herding sheep after the car wreck. That was good.
That was fantastic.
They have said that they don't know if he'll get a medal for completing the event.
He should.
He totally should.
He was a good boy.
That's
he
a
was
missed
the best
opportunity.
boy of the Olympics. That's fantastic. That makes my day. We will have to have a picture of Nazgul.
And he didn't even have to win a place to talk about cheating on his wife or anything.
Yeah, no. Oh, God, I saw that.
Guy. Whew.
Of all of the places to keep your mouth shut, the world stage is a good one to not be saying things like that.
I just can't imagine. I never heard what her reaction to hearing that was, but I can only imagine that she was not impressed that he was talking about that in that forum.
I was
already
shocked.
dumped him.
I was
Why
shocked
would
looking at previous Olympics at the number of condoms
They
that
ran
are
out this year.
ordered for athletes because they put all of those athletes in the same area, and apparently it goes a little nuts.
exciting.
Because they're all very fit and
Yes. Yeah, and what else is there to do other than compete?
Yeah, the cardboard beds last year was entertaining to me.
I remember
they
that.
tried to build the cardboard beds that was to dissuade that behavior. I'm like, but the floor is right there.
The floor is only that far away at
have
that
they
point.
have they not been teenagers?
Right? Whose idea was that?
No.
I don't know.
No, I can assure
I owned a
you.
Trans Am and I made that work.
Right?
Well, no, you can pull the tops out, right?
No.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. The first time I had no idea what I was doing, but she made that work, and apparently you can fit 2 people in the backseat of a Trans Am.
I don't see how, but I will
Right?
take your word for it. Yeah. You're 6 feet and change. Too.
I know.
What kind of weird shape were you folded into? I don't want to know. This is bringing horrible mental images to my mind. We'll just ignore that and carry on. No, so in terms of other things, carry over from Korea, not North Korea this time, but South Korea, the snowboarding monk of the Olympics has...
Oh, I thought you were going to give a city.
No.
The snowboarding bunk of Chicago. I was like,
No, we
what
have
city in South Korea is this guy
We
from?
have the... Oh, I need to change something here because that doesn't want to load.
I'm sold.
Yeah. No, I wish I had. Apparently, there's a a monk who does snowboarding. It was something I was not anticipating whatsoever.
It'll be a robot monk next year.
Throw in holy water, right?
I gotta say, given the way that our friends at Boston Dynamics are making their little robots move, I genuinely suspect that there's going to be a fantastic robot skier. Yes, thank you.
Incredible training partner.
Yeah,
and they can help
South Korea. Yeah, South Korea's snowboarding monk. Thank you. I was not going to get this at all. Yeah, it is. The Venerable Hassan, head monk of the Bongzunsa Temple, is a rider, started a youth competition 20 years ago. His alumni have pulled in, this is why I included it, 3 snowboarding medals this month.
Yes.
Wow.
This is...
That's a sport we used to dominate, because we were the only people dumb enough to take wheels off skateboards and try and put them down the hill.
Throw people down a hill, yeah.
We're really good at sports we invent.
Right up until other people start doing them, and then it's all...
What was it? Basketball?
Huh?
Did you ever see the movie Basketball?
Is this like Calvin Ball?
No, you have to watch it.
There's
just no way I can explain anything else about it.
What was that, 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
I think it's made by the guys who did South Park.
Oh, okay, that's going to be amazing.
But it's live action.
Yeah, I got it.
And it's them.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. A sport that I will never bother watching, although I'm sure people do enjoy it. I don't have the temperament or the patience to watch it. Curling. How many controversies do you think sliding a rock and sweeping brooms at it can generate?
More than any other sport imaginable.
More than any other sport this set of Olympics, or really... Aside from a doping scandal, I cannot think of anything that has been more hilarious, non-sequitur, and boring.
There's actually a curling league here in North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do they practice?
I know that there was a team in Durham at one point in time. I had a friend that did it.
I don't want to mock people for their entertainment choices or how they choose to go and exercise themselves, but sweeping the way for a rock doesn't sound like fun.
But what if you're drinking beer while you're...
Then I'm probably going to fall over on the ice.
I would have fallen over on the ice without the beer, but it's still...
I went ice skating for the second time in my life this past... The little WRAL ice skating.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bring in little not ski slope, ice skating rink. And it's, about the size of the room that we're in, maybe twice that. And I managed to make it all the way around it and not fall over.
That's impressive.
Quite proud of it. I also penguin walked quite a bit, and I would try to... do that number.
I would not have pulled that off successfully.
I was terrified. Gene, I was legit terrified. Because you're wearing knife blades on your feet. And the problem is not that I've got knife blades on my feet. So does everybody else. If I fall, and I fall under them, I'm going to get chopped up. Or if they do a Looney Tunes fall, where their feet are doing that number, I'm going to be hamburgered as well. So, the opportunity for dismemberment is far higher than I want it to be.
That might be part of your challenge, is you're thinking about the dismemberment a little bit more than the stabilization.
I really was not thinking about the stabilization at all. I really was thinking about, how many ways can I die between here and the whole loop around? Because I started off, and when I say I made the whole loop, I didn't quite. I had to start here, and I went all the way around to the first exit, which was back here. So I skipped out this little straightaway bit in the middle, but I was done
Next
at
year
that
you got
point.
the whole...
No.
Have faith.
Fine, I'll take you with. I'll tell the wife she can stay home, and Gene and I will go.
Oh no!
Yes,
Just got myself into that.
Yes, we will set up cameras for you, internet viewers.
Yeah.
And then we will let David drive us both to the hospital.
Yeah.
One of the 3 of us has to sit on the sideline to take the other 2 to the hospital for that type of adventure.
Kind of a rule we had when I was young.
Yeah,
it was an accident.
So yesterday.
But out of the 3 of us who always hang out, one of us was always sober. And
Yes.
It was never planned. But we could be at 3 different parties, and one of us would be sober, and it was never the same one. It's never worked out. We just thought it was really kind of crazy that...
The contingency plans well typed. So did y'all see, Italy's famous for a staggering number of operas and some fantastic music, classical, and otherwise. The birthplace of the Renaissance and quite a few other things. In terms of music and musical instruments that you don't want to hand over to Italians, because I don't know how much time y'all have spent around Italians. I've spent a fair bit. You've never met a more disobedient collection of people, is the best way to put it. They will go and do precisely whatever they want to do. It's fantastic.
Who are we talking about?
The Italians. The Italians.
So we're talking about toddlers.
Yes. Them two. So people from the U.S.
Talking about me.
Yeah.
No, like, as somebody once said, anybody can rule the Italians. They're just not going to do what you tell them to do. You can tell them to do whatever you want. They're just going to do their own thing, and it's perfectly fine. It works. Wonderful country, wonderful people. What music instrument would you not like to give a bunch of disobedient folks like that?
Drums.
You're close.
Banjo.
You're further away. If you take those two and put them together, what do you got? Bagpipes. Yeah. Think like
I can't see an Italian playing bagpipes.
I could not see
Bagpipe opera.
Yes. That could probably be a thing, unfortunately. So,
I don't know why that popped in my head.
have y'all been to an opera before? I've been to exactly one. I went to see the Barbers of Seville.
No, I wanted to go. I've seen ballet. They had an opera coming up. I've never actually been to an opera. My entire opera experience is Bugs Bunny with Kill the Rabbit.
That's why you go to the Barber of Seville, because that's where all of the...
But I did watch
recognized all of it.
Parts of
And it has
Pirates of
subtitles.
Penzance. We have a wonderful man here who works here, and he made 2-star general in the Guard. And we were on a Zoom call, and they mentioned it. You know, it was like 80-some people. And I mentioned that he was the very vision of a modern major general. No one out of over 80 people got it.
I would have had to mute.
No one.
I had never seen that one, but I would have had to mute and like step away.
Like, I did have somebody come by later and like, what? And I pulled it up, and they're like, oh, that's funny. And I'm like, yeah, but not like an hour and a half later.
Yeah, my humor is wasted on you. Yeah. That's a good thing about the internet. Like that joke will now be up in perpetuity,
As soon
unfortunately.
as I realized 2-star was major general, I'm like, oh, that's funny. He is the very vision of a modern major.
Yes.
Everybody's like, what?
That's funny. What opera have you been to?
That's why I know my
I
talent's
did Barber of
wasted.
Seville.
That was the same one I went to. Yeah.
Was it the one here?
Did you go together?
I went to DPAC.
Okay.
I think it was DPAC.
Okay. I went to the one in Raleigh.
That actually, it might have been the one downtown. I can't remember. It was a really, really long time ago.
The last show I
This
went
was
to
only
was
2
the
years ago.
Sonic Orchestra.
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to go to that. I did not get to.
It's awesome. It might be coming back. It's worth it.
When we bought our house, it came with a piano in it. Pianos don't move very easily. I mean, well, I guess they can, but it takes, people not built like me moving them around. And so I think the folks, when they were moving, they were like, yeah, how do you feel about having a piano? My better half knows how to play piano.
I left one in the garage when I moved out of here the first time because I was not
They
getting
don't
it up.
move.
I wasn't getting it up the loading ramp on my own.
You're going to need a truck to load it into the truck. But
Often that happens.
frequently, the first
I mean,
time,
I wanted it.
The first time that I went music shopping for my better half, I bought really only one thing that I was interested in. I had to buy a whole bunch of other stuff that she was interested in. But I bought all of the theme music from all of the Mario and Zelda games.
Nice.
So that is what is occasionally played in our house. And it makes me very happy. It's very funny because I played most of those games, or a lot of those games. Some of them I didn't recognize because it's like got the international versions and they were different. So I'm learning music via a very different path than most.
Speaking of games,
Okay.
did you watch on February 21st the live Florida Man games?
Oh no, I did not know that was a thing.
I did not either.
Please watch. One of the events is outrunning sheriff's deputies. I did not watch in real time, but I'm like, this is the most Florida Man thing I have ever.
Oh, he is. They are. Oh, he didn't make it.
Through a course.
They are. Oh, he didn't make it at all. That's the best thing ever.
I was like, there's no way this is real. So I had to go look. It is. There's a real website for the whole thing.
We have to see if they will sponsor us. Or maybe we will sponsor them for free. I don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
That's the best thing because like those guys are in full like the police officers are in full.
the Florida Man game.
So okay, so that's the running event is the outrunning the sheriff's deputy, and they were giving it a good go. What are the other ones?
I didn't see all of it. Like I said, I found the website later, but the video showing them outrunning cops had me right there.
So here's the problem.
If you got guys dressed in full equipment and you're in your flannel and shorts and flip flops and you're trying to run a confidence, like it looked like restaurant tables and bike racks, and you're just trying to get away. I'm like, that is the most.
That is genuinely funny. I don't care who you are. It's amazing. So we're making fun of Florida. I had a bad feeling this would eventually happen. Yeah. It ain't Florida, and it ain't Louisiana, or unfortunately it's not Pennsylvania. I had a couple of good goes at them. This time it is North Carolina.
Uh-oh.
So where should one not get a tattoo? And I don't mean on your body. I mean... before anybody goes down that one. Yeah.
Please clarify. Now you've now piqued my interest.
What location should one not be sitting in to get a tattoo?
The bathroom.
Prison.
No, prison tattoos are a thing, Gene. Like if you not...
Oh, I know, but that doesn't mean it should be.
My 16-year-old has a prison tattoo.
The infection's
Really?
interesting.
What were they doing time
Her
for?
mom got a tattoo gun. But we knew within an hour or two that she had gotten one. And so we were just kind of waiting to see how long she'd try and hide it, because that kid was wearing more clothes to go out of the house than she ever wore before.
At least tattoos are removable now.
And I mean, it made it a good 2.5 weeks. And then something came out, and I'm like, your aunt and I are just wondering how long it's going to take before you admit that you have, and she's like, you knew? I'm like, we just think it's funny you're actually wearing decent clothes for the last 2 weeks.
I should not laugh. I do not judge, but that is funny.
I do like reasonable bathroom option. Sewage treatment plant would be my second pick.
Oh, I don't want to know what kind of infection either of those would come to, but this is more for
I've worked one of those.
This is more for the lack of benefit for everyone else around the person. Tattooing should be done in an environment that is obviously clean, sterile, and not filled with people eating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gastonia, North Carolina, it's just outside of Charlotte, at one of the Wendy's. Folks getting tattooed in the dining room. Uh-oh.
Small licensing issues.
What was the tattoo and where? Become highly relevant at this time.
I had not thought of...
Cat whiskers on a kitty is a no-no in the dining room of a Wendy's.
Yeah.
But I love mom on a bicep is okay.
Okay, so thankfully, okay.
Still a licensing issue.
So,
but there was a level here.
Yeah.
I want to know how crazy the crazy story is.
So apparently, thankfully, an individual with blue hair was getting a back tattoo while shirtless at a North Carolina restaurant, and thankfully the city stepped in and said, "Hey, one, can't do this in a restaurant. Two, tattoo artists must artisans. Yeah, artisans. Tattoo artisans must register with the local health department, at least in this state, and they have to have standard operating hours. And environmental health team for the city said no, just from get go, no. So thankfully, it was just the back.
Can you imagine being
which one of them worked at the Wendy's?
It doesn't look like any of them.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Bob's going to do my back tattoo while he's on his break from running the grill. Like, I can see that being a thing, honestly. I'm afraid that my brain will allow that to be a thing I see.
Yeah, I don't know
Hepatitis in a cheeseburger right over here.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true because that, it is bloodborne. And
no onions.
Right.
I wonder if they had to be there so that they could, they were being inspired by the nuggets or something. They were trying to draw out the menu on the person. I don't know. That's sort of like those people that get a
Wendy's pretty tough though.
It's not my favorite.
Have you
place.
seen her
the
Reddit
picture?
feed?
Oh,
they are savage.
they are. They are
like
Wendy's,
no back down.
No,
savage.
no. They're on Twitter. The Wendy's people
Twitter,
have
that's it. Yeah.
or it's X. No,
Whatever.
yeah, but they
The
have
man who didn't grow
they
past
have
5 has to name everything X.
Man, is disowned by most of his family, rightfully so.
Surprised it's not Tesla X yet.
They are truly amazing marketing people.
Oh, they are fantastic. They are absolutely gangsters.
Like, you see the one? It's like McDonald's is like, what have you got? Like, I mean, it was seconds. An ice cream machine that works.
Yeah, Miss Wendy has no chill. It is fantastic. So yeah, unfortunately, guys,
she's a fighter.
Yeah. She fights dirty.